The secret we should never let the game masters know is that they don't need any rules. Warriors, mages, and demigods thereupon. This is modern escapism. Hello and welcome to Modern Escapism. My name is Oodles, your bard and compere for the evening, and today I am joined by the delectable sellsword Stig.
Hello.
The paladin of patience Gadget.
Hello.
And the succubus of sexual desire Biggie.
Yeah, baby.
We all good, boys?
Marvellous.
How are you on this late eve?
Sore.
You've been gymming it all week.
I've been to the gym, yeah.
Oh, excellent.
My body is pain.
My body is pain for another reason.
Yes, you've been stigging it.
Alcohol.
And I have my family, so it's a different pain.
Hey!
Excellent. So without further ado, let's just crack on with what we've been up to this week. We'll start with you, Biggie. You've had a busy old week. I
have, but unfortunately I've been watching things that you've recommended, so, well not you, but all of you. I've been watching It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Yeah. So I'm not going to go on about that because we've already covered that. I've been watching Invincible, so obviously I've covered that already. So I thought I'd have a very quick rant about how badly X-Files has aged.
Oh, dude. Dude, you're
on the side,
leaving me in twain.
I have been watching that, and oh my dear, it's not aging well. I'm sorry, it's really not. The amount of times that Scully gets kidnapped, knocked out, every other episode.
She's a damsel in distress a lot.
Is ridiculous. The fact that Mulder, every time he's in a kerfuffle, he just tends to just flop over like a sack of shit without any sort of combat training. The way that he goes round corners, pointing his gun round the corner before the rest of him goes round. And he's disarmed far too many times for an FBI agent.
These are special agents, not just agents. These
they're
are
very special.
Special agents.
But yeah, obviously, yes, there are some good episodes that come up with a good idea, but there are some really bad ones. The Gender Bender, it's really bad.
They tried to cancel that one a few times.
They should have done. It's not good, especially in this day and age. It almost creates a fear of anyone that's bisexual, transgender. It's
certainly
just
not good.
They should pull that one. The Shapes, again, is another one, which had to do with, what would you call in the Indians?
I remember that, yeah.
They did cover a little bit about, obviously, how the Native Indian Americans were treated. So, I mean, they reference to that, which is really good. But just the fact
not enough, though, is it?
No. and then it's got werewolves and stuff.
What about the classics like Tombs and stuff? Squeeze.
Yeah. Excellent. That. You can't fight, and you got the. Oh my God, I've forgotten the name of the guys that support them as well.
The Lone Gunmen.
The Lone Gunmen.
Yes. Yeah. They're really cool. They're very geeky and all that.
Really
Did you ever see their spin-off show?
Oh, it's bad.
No.
Oh, it ran for like 8 episodes or something like that. I didn't even make a full season.
Ended on a cliffhanger.
It was dreadful. Because the thing is, they're good kind of side characters for like Mulder to go into, and they'll spout off some conspiratorial bullshit and whatever.
Yeah.
But they're not actually characters. Like, you can't put a story around them.
No, not at all. And they're funny for the 5-10 minutes that they're in, or interesting, depending on what they're supporting them about. But the thing that riles me more than anything else, and now I'm up to season 3 at this point, is the fact that Scully constantly goes against everything that Mulder suggests, even though every episode ends with something supernatural.
She refuses to believe, even though she's seen it.
It's just so fit. But Mulder, have you thought? It's like, no, he's clearly presenting this to you, and he's pretty much never wrong.
There's an alien there, and he's going, look, there is an alien there. Look, he's right here, right in front of us. No.
I mean,
there must be some other explanation.
That kind of character arc slowly disappears for Scully. She becomes the believer eventually.
Well, the best part is, and this is not to be too much of a spoiler, but there is a season later on where David Duchovny couldn't be in it for some reason.
Yes,
and they swap out with the guy who played the T-1000.
That's right.
Yeah, he plays John Doggett, and it flips out. So he's
Turns
the
around,
non-believer,
doesn't it?
and Scully's the believer.
Yeah.
And it's a really fun
I like
change
Doggett.
when you think back. Yeah, I like Doggett as well. He was pretty good. But yeah, you'd think after maybe give it to the end of season 1, and like Scully would be like, okay, yeah, I've seen some shit. This is fucked up.
Yeah.
I believe you, Mulder.
Explain Victor Toombs to anyone.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
But did you guys know that Chris Carter wrote another show after that? Did you guys ever see it called Millennium?
Yes.
Yes,
With
it
Lance
wasn't very
Henriksen.
Well, you see, I counteract that. I have
It is
very
good.
fond memories of that.
It's good.
And I'm going to revisit that at some point if I can find it.
Millennium's
Well,
good.
to be fair, I didn't see Millennium until like 2012, so maybe I missed the window for that one.
It's good.
Yeah,
it's a
it
bit
might not
more.
have
It's a bit
aged well, I don't
more psychological.
Yeah, it's darker.
It is darker. Yeah, and it is Lance Henriksen, isn't it?
It is. Yeah.
He's always fun.
Yeah, so I'm going to maybe go and revisit that. I don't know if I'm going to keep pushing through X-Files at this point, but I'm...
Do it, mate. There's some absolute strengths. There's some
Sometimes
great
it's really
episodes.
disappointing watching that. But...
Don't watch the films. Don't bother with those.
I like the films, and to
I'm
be
gonna
fair,
include
season
them.
5,
I'm
6,
including them.
like season 5, 6, and 7 are absolute bangers.
Oh yeah. It gets
Like,
really
it's
good.
it's the first 3 or 4 seasons where it's a bit uneven, where for every like Victor Toombs episode, you get something utter trash.
Yeah, you always get the lore episodes as well about like Mulder's sister and stuff. Sometimes they're great,
Which
sometimes
are the
they're
least
not.
interesting stories.
It is a bad storyline, but it's constantly evolving, and it does
I
eventually
must
get good.
point out, of course, the smoking man who
Cigarette
is
smoking man.
intimidating for about the first 2 times he appears, and then after that, he's really trying hard to look more menacing from different angles while smoking a cigarette.
Yeah.
It's just painful to see him sometimes.
Yeah, or the fact that like Mitch Pileggi's character, you never know if he's on the right side or not, but it's just he does 180s all the time.
Yeah.
So it's not like he has this interesting kind of standoffishness with them where it's just like, could he be on their side? No, one episode he's dead against them, one episode he's completely
He's
on
just
their
a
side.
consummate bureau man. That's what it is. It's just it's the job first. I like it. Stick with it. There's some absolute bangers to come, and even the rebooted series is not terrible. The one that they did about a decade ago. It's pretty all right. It never reaches the heights of like 5, 6, 7, but you'll get there, mate. You'll get there.
No, that's cool. But yeah, that's me this week.
Excellent. Stig, you've been doing, pal, apart from boozing.
Oozing, all the boozing. This week I watched a couple of films. I had to VPN these because they aren't out in the UK
You
yet.
were born in the wrong country.
Basically, yeah. Yeah, it's really annoying. Like, especially, I basically wanted to watch these because, one, it's the Oscars. The Oscars will have been there tonight when we record this, and I kind of wanted to watch a few of them before that happened. And the other one was Mortal Kombat. I just wanted to be part of the conversation and the zeitgeist and everything. So I'll start on Mortal Kombat, start on the bad and end on the good.
Oscar, was it?
Well, I watched it twice, so
it's not good. The trailer makes it look a lot better than it was. It starts really strong. I really like the opening section. It's not too much of a spoiler. It starts with
mate, there's barely a story. Don't worry about spoilers.
So yeah, it starts with Scorpion and Sub-Zero.
People fighting?
Hanzo and by hand, and it kind of tells their story of them back in the ancient days and the betrayal and all the killings and everything between them two, and it kind of sets it up from there. But then the rest of it is just really shit. It's really disappointing.
I don't know what you were expecting, to be fair, mate.
I don't know. I thought the trailer looked really
Have you
fun.
not learned about trailers yet?
But it
Who's the
clearly
director?
put all the... Oh, God, no.
It's his first film.
Oh, okay.
He's a guy who's known for doing adverts.
His second film will probably be Mortal Kombat 2.
Well, there you go. He did a good advert
Or
with the
another
trailer. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Kano is great. He's really good fun.
Do you think? I think he was the most annoying character.
No, I thought it was great.
He was trying to do that Ryan Reynolds thing where he's quipping about like modern day things.
Yeah, it's Kano, isn't it? That's what he does. If you watch any of the games or anything, he's always been a
he's
dickhead.
he's a quipper, but yeah. I didn't.
He's always like that. He's like that in the games, isn't he? But I just thought that there's no reason whatsoever to have Cole, the new character.
I always thought he was going to be someone like Tremor or someone random.
You thought it was going to be Sub-Zero.
Sub-Zero. Yeah,
the second Sub-Zero, didn't you? But no, it's
completely wrong. But
yeah.
He's just a character. He's just Cole.
Just a character, like who's a really shit fighter, but then obviously becomes really good, and it's just like, and his
superpower is he can take a beating.
Oh yeah, but that's it. That is basically it. Like,
I'm not kidding.
So in this, they don't kind of have powers. They train and they develop and they
arcana.
Yeah, and they unleash the power, and it explains kind of like how Kano gets his laser and how people do this and people do that. But I don't know. I just don't have anything good to say about it. The deaths are kind of cool.
I think the choreography is good, and like I said in his Discord, I think it's a solid 3 out of 5. But
2 out of 5. I'd give it
it's not terrible. It's just not good.
Yeah. Like the training section, they spend way too long on a training section. The majority of the fucking film is them training up and trying to find their powers. The theme tune is
like, montage is happening, it's a montage.
That was rubbish. Goro is used completely wrong.
Raiden's crap.
Raiden is crap. A lot of bad acting. As well,
is he as crap as James Remar Raiden though?
James Remar is amazing compared.
No, I didn't think he was that bad.
Does he get a haircut halfway through?
Shang Tsung is just not as good at all as was it Carrie?
Cabal's good.
Thingy, I can't remember his second name. Sorry. Cabal's all right, but he's behind a mask, so it's kind of easy to do that. They have someone else do his voice, so it's not like it's the actor isn't even acting it out. It's someone else doing the voice. But they spend Sub-Zero looks amazing, Scorpion looks great.
That's where the money's gone.
Looks really good, and then Mylena just put some paint on blood on her face.
Yeah,
she just looks so pointless.
Yeah.
And they tried to bring in other characters from games that weren't as successful.
They brought the guy with the hammer from Mortal Kombat Armageddon that nobody cared about,
and the vamp lady as well with the wings.
Yeah,
I didn't. When she came into it, I was like, I don't even remember her.
She's from Mortal Kombat 4, I think.
Yeah,
originally.
I had to look it up. Yeah, the guy that wants to be Shao Kahn was in it as well. Rico, I think his name is.
Rico. Yeah, he's fucking terrible.
Yeah, so basically it started really well. 80% of the runtime was then crap. And
it is literally just exposition fight, isn't it?
Yeah, I kind of liked the ending with the last fight, but that was it. So disappointment.
I've got zero interest in this at all. I'm not a massive fan of the games, not a fan of the movies. I think that music, the soundtrack for the original movie is probably the only thing
you don't hear that in the film, so don't worry.
Yeah, there's no Europop techno music.
Yeah.
Rubbish.
I'm guessing I'll get the best experience just watching the opening 7 minutes that they released on YouTube the other day.
You're better off just watching it while playing another game.
Yeah, it feels like that opening section feels like a completely different film.
That's the best bit,
right?
Yeah, I would much rather just have a film about that.
Yeah, Hanzo Asashi and Bihan. Yeah, just a tale about them too. Yeah. Absolutely.
I've heard that. There was an animated film out, wasn't there, last year, Scorpion's Revenge?
Yes.
That does a better job of telling their Sub-Zero Scorpion story, so I'm going to actually watch that, because I forgot that it actually come out.
There's a comic book series by Dark Horse as well that's really good.
Yeah, but I'm going to move on, because I want to talk about this film more than that one. The Father I watched as well this week, and I thought it was absolutely incredible. It's easily the best film I've seen this year.
I don't even know what it is.
It is stars Anthony Hopkins, Olivia Colman, Mark Gatiss, Imogen Poots, and it tells the story of Anthony Hopkins as a man who refuses to move out of his flat and get the help that he needs because he's clearly got Alzheimer's and dementia.
The trailer looks really good for this. I really wanted to see this.
Yeah, and the way that it depicts his dementia is so well done. Like, characters will leave the screen and they'll come back in as like other people.
Oh,
and
wow.
And they're talking about like, he's like, she says, "Oh, I'm going to go live in Paris," and then the next minute he comes back and there's Matt Gaetz' character, and he's like, "Who are you?" It's like, "Well, I'm so and so, Anne's husband." It's like, "No, Anne told me she's moving to Paris with her boyfriend," and it's like all this is kind of happening in real time for him, but it's clearly jumping around.
Wow.
So he's obviously remembering a conversation or a part of something that happened
the way
years
his brain's
ago.
firing,
But the way he's seeing it is this is all happening now, and he just starts to think that people are against him and stuff. And it's so tough and heartbreaking to watch. If you have ever experienced a relative with having dementia, or like one of your elderly grandparents, if you've had like a strong relationship with them, I'd be wary about watching the film, to be honest. If you can stomach your way through it, fine. But I don't have any of that experience. I never grew up with my grandparents because, unfortunately, for me, they all passed away before I was 5. So I don't have any of that kind of relationship that to draw upon. So these things are it's really tough and heartbreaking to watch. But I don't really have that issue when I'm watching these.
Yeah, I'll be giving it a wide berth for that reason. Like, I will happily accept if it wins things at the Oscars or that it's an amazing film. But I think it's one of those films that when you've described it to us and when I've read up about it, I was just like, no, thank you, in the best terms possible.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah.
I'm very up for watching that. Fortunately, I don't suffer for anything like that. So I want to appreciate the emotional value of the movie. I've been through that with my grandparents before, and my father's quite ill. So
I think it's very important for that film to exist.
Yes, I totally agree.
And I think if you have, like I said, the way it depicts it is to a point where, even as the audience, you feel confused and unsure about what's going on purpose. It's trying to put you in his shoes. Like, you're like, hang on, what? Like, that doesn't make sense, and what's going on here? And there's so many layers to it, and I generally think this is the best thing I've ever seen Anthony Hopkins do.
And he's pretty fucking solid throughout his career as well.
Yeah, his ability to kind of shift his emotional state on the spot in this film is just amazing to see. Like, he will go from being like just normal, just walking around, potting around, doing his thing, putting the shopping away, and then you just see the way he just starts like second guessing himself.
Yeah.
Walks over here and he touches his shopping bag and he's like, it just looks like he doesn't know what's going on. And then he'll go from being really happy to being sad or angry, like just at the drop of a hat. And he just does such an amazing job. Like, Olivia Colman is really great in this as well, but she's
great in everything.
Yeah, but Anthony Hopkins just blew me away in this. And
I mean this with the deepest respect to him as well, but he must be getting on quite a bit himself now.
Yeah,
I think he's about 84. Something like that.
So for him to deliver a performance like that as well, that's quite impressive.
The ending is just absolutely killed me. Like, I will say like that like when that finished, I was in tears. Like, just
who directed it, man?
7 minutes or so is just it's just so hard. It was directed by Florian Zeller. First time film.
Wow. Wow.
So you've had 2 first timers this week.
Yeah, one's been absolutely
opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yeah, opposite ends of the subject matter and scale.
Yes.
Yeah.
So quickly, do you think he'll be up for possibly winning the Oscar? Because I don't actually know who he's up against this year.
I would, if he doesn't, then I haven't seen all the other films, so I can't really comment. But the ones I have done, I do think he is. I do think his performance is the better performance.
Wow.
We can always post a biggie to him anyway.
Yeah, can do.
He can have one anyway. He's a sir.
That is true.
He didn't win the BAFTA, and usually things like that are kind of a
foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But he's only ever won one. I think there's several that he's been nominated for, and that was for Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah.
So
wow. Well, good luck to Sir Anthony Hopkins then. Honestly, excellent. Thank you for that, mate. Gadget, you've been up to?
Well, I feel like I'm going to be dragging the tone down here after that kind of highfalutin Oscars.
Oh, wait while you hear
talk
mine.
Yeah. Well, I'll start off with it. It's not been the most eventful week, but I did play through, based after Stig's recommendation last week, I did play through What Remains of Edith Finch.
Oh, yes,
And
mate.
holy shit! Why didn't I play that game earlier?
I know, that was what I was thinking last the other week. I was like, why is it taking me so long to play this?
It's such a banger.
I will say, playing it, I played it on the Series X. Performance was dreadful. Like it
is.
like the frame rate was god awful.
Yeah, it's really bad. Everyone's been saying it. It's better on PC.
Okay, so it's not just me. But yeah, really, really impressive game. Wonderful narrative that was ran through it. A lot of heartbreaking scenes as well. Like some really funny as well. I really enjoyed the first story that you play where you play as the cat, and then it kind of goes into the cat and then the monster.
It's so
thing,
cool.
I really like that. And the one that Stig mentioned, which I won't spoil, where you're doing two things at once, I thought that was absolutely marvelously done.
Mm-hmm.
Like those devs had obviously seen Brothers Tale of Two Sons and like thought, let's do that independent control kind of thing there.
The one that hurt me most, I'm just going to say one word, is swing.
Yeah,
I hated that one. That really upset me.
That one upset me. And the other one I'd say would be Frog.
Oh, Frog.
Yeah. Oh, that's what I was on about last week.
Yeah, Frog got me.
Yeah, Frog man.
I was just watching that going, fuck me. I know exactly where this is going, and I can't believe you're making me play.
Just saying that word frog, it made my heart skip.
What I loved as well is, because I don't want to spoil, again, I really don't want to spoil this for anything, but like when you do the monster one, the music they used,
oh, dude.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I was like, is that, when it came on, I was like, is that? And I was like, yes, it is. They're using that theme. I was like, brilliant.
Yeah. Like they don't use a lot of music throughout the
it's
game.
quite a sparse soundtrack, isn't it?
Yeah, but what it does use is absolutely perfectly pitched every single time.
Yeah.
And it's also interesting as well, like with talking about the deaths of the different family members. A lot of it comes from other people's perspectives. Like you get one story is told from that particular person's therapist, which I thought was a really nice move.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just, like, Edith recounting these stories. It's someone else recounting them for her. So, yeah, no, I really liked it. I really enjoyed it. The ending, I didn't see coming. I thought it was brilliant.
I just want to mention also the writing on the screen, when you've got...
Oh, yeah, when you walk through it and then it scatters on the...
Yeah, I thought that was really smart.
Are you going to try Unfinished Swan?
If I can find it somewhere. Is it on Game Pass? I can't remember.
I'm not sure, but I know
was it a PlayStation exclusive?
I had it on PlayStation Plus. But it's worth it. Now you've appreciated Edith Finch. You should just you'll get that little smile when you play Unfinished Swan.
Yeah. Okay. I'll source out a copy of that.
Yeah,
somehow.
absolutely, mate. Absolutely.
But the main thing I wanted to talk about is going back to one of my own points from a couple of weeks ago, because when we did the animation episode, I talked about Archer. And as I was thinking back to it when I was talking about it, I had only actually seen up to the end of Archer Vice, which is season 5, and there's like 11 seasons of it, so me and Pip have been kind of working through the rest of it. And I wanted to bring up the two theme series that I've seen so far, which is Archer Dreamland and Archer Danger Island.
Well, they're like concept series.
Yeah, so to give a slight spoiler for the kind of
do it.
The beginning and end of season 7, Season 7 has Archer and his associates working as private eyes in LA. It starts off with a kind of what the hell happened with Archer floating dead in a swimming pool.
Mm.
And you think, oh, no, it's going to be a ruse, it's going to be a mix-up thing and all that kind of thing. And you get to the end of the season and say, actually, no, he does get shot several times and is like drowning in a pool. Which then leads to him being in a coma. Which is how Dreamland and Danger Island come out. So Dreamland is Archer's brain in a coma, imagining his life as 1940s private detective in LA. Basically LA noir with a lot more swearing.
Yeah.
It recasts all the characters as the same characters but in different roles. So Archer himself is the private detective. Mother is a gangster. but referred to as Mother. Cyril Figgis is the chief of police, and he's a bent copper. Pam is gender unknown in this one. I think the character is like cast as a guy, but not. They make a lot of jokes about it.
Something else that Pam is done as in one of the future episodes you're going to get onto. It's just like
So she's working under Cyril. Cheryl becomes Charlotte Vandertunt, a billionaire socialite kind of thing.
Vandertunt, I love that.
Yeah, Vandertunt, yeah. And Ray becomes the band leader, and Lana is a singer at a club called Dreamland. And it has this whodunit story. So where the season starts with in the real world, Archer's friends gathering at Woodhouse's funeral, his butler's funeral, and many jokes about him being a heroin addict. In the Dreamland side of it, in the 1940s, Archer witnesses Woodhouse, his partner detective, being killed, and then the whole story is a massive clusterfuck trying to find out who killed his partner. And it's absolutely fucking hilarious. It's wonderfully written. There was a huge jump in the animation budget, so it's one of the best looking seasons. You have Krieger as a former Nazi scientist, like fucking strapping robot arms onto people. It's off its fucking rocker, but conceptually, somehow it all makes sense, and it does one thing that the other seasons of Archer haven't done, because even though the previous seasons have had kind of a running narrative throughout them, this one, Archer gets himself into some stupid situations where he gets beaten up and attacked a lot. And as the season progresses, he's just getting gradually more and more injured. And I actually really like that he kind of, there is this, his physical condition is the constant throughout it. So when you get through that season and the insanity of it, you think Archer's waking up, and it kind of hints to him, like the shot of him back in the hospital bed, kind of starting to wake up. And then you start Danger Island, where he wakes up in bed and it's now the 1930s and he's living on a South Pacific island, like a French territory, as a biplane pilot. Think like Tailspin. Not a biplane, a seaplane pilot. And it recasts all the characters again, and it becomes this rollicking adventure thing where Figgis is a German. I assume he's a Nazi because it's set in 1939.
Probably.
It gets a bit Raiders of the Lost Ark because he's looking for maybe Temple of Doom because he's looking for a golden MacGuffin that can do good things for the Nazis. But the best thing, and I'm only a few episodes into it, so I haven't got the full run of the story. But the best thing that they did with this season is Krieger. There is no role for Krieger as a mad German scientist because technically in this world at this point, people don't know the extent of the Nazis. No. They don't know the extent of what the Nazis got up to. So what do they do with him? They turn him into a talking parrot, and he's hilarious. The funniest thing in the entire season. And I just love it. I love the creativity of Archer. I love the way it's written. I love the banter between the characters. I love the references. I love the clever biting humour. There's one point in Danger Island where Pam says to Archer, "You're in a real catch-22 situation," and he just quick as a sharp. Quick as anything, replies back to her, "I don't think that book's been written yet."
I like that.
Yeah, it's just really clever. I love it so much, and I love the fact that even in these kind of fantasy seasons, because it's effectively in Archer's mind, all the characters, even though they're being recast as things, maintain their character traits. Like Cheryl, no matter what situation, she's insane. She's insane no matter where you find her. Krieger is malevolent and scheming wherever you find him. Ray is put upon and usually abused by somebody else. Mallory is always in control. It's just fucking brilliant. And it also just reminds me just how good Jessica Walters was.
Oh yeah,
as a voice, not just as an actress, but as a voice actress as well. You can feel every ounce of acting coming through that dialogue with her, and she's so good at it.
Oh, she's old school.
She's still going then.
Yeah. Season 11 came out last year.
Yeah.
So I wonder what they're going to do about obviously replacing her, unfortunately.
I wonder if they'll end it, or they'll end it with a special or something like that, because Mallory's kind of a key character.
Exactly.
There are some of the side characters that don't appear in every episode, but Mallory is in every episode, even when Archer's nowhere near her. Yeah. So yeah, I think she'll. I think her death will probably spark the end for the show. But to be honest, I know a lot of people didn't like the theme seasons, but I'm really, really enjoying them.
Good, just embrace it. Just get involved. You know what I mean?
They revel in their silliness, and I think that's what works so well.
Absolutely.
But yeah. So Archer, just watch it. It's all 10 seasons of it are on Netflix. So
on the strength of your discussion last time, I did watch season 1, and I liked it a lot.
Yeah, it's really, really good. As a spoof, as a kind of timeless spoof, it's brilliant.
It's snappy as well. You can just watch it and it's fast. It's very fast paced, and it's just on it, and it's really good.
It's eminently quotable, and you'll wander around just in the back of your head, just thinking danger zone on top of your voice all the time.
Excellent. Thank you.
That's what I've been up to.
Thank you very much. I am going to lower the tone again.
Excellent.
I've been watching a season of TV called Genius, season 1. There are 3 seasons of Genius, but I'll give you the quote for what it's about, the synopsis. So, Genius is an American anthology period drama television series developed by Noah Pink and Kenneth Biller, which premiered on National Geographic and is now available on Disney+, hence how I've seen it. So it stars Jeffrey Rush as Albert Einstein and tells the tale of the genius physicist and mathematician from his early life at Zurich Polytechnic right up until his death in 1955 in New Jersey. So, what Genius is every season, and there's 10 episodes a season, it focuses on a completely different genius. So, season 2 is Pablo Picasso, season 3 is Aretha Franklin. So,
this informs me, by the way.
Yes, I've heard they've been in touch, and Brad Pitt is playing me on Your Life Story, which is always nice. But yeah, basically...
Matt Lucas is playing me.
Basically, the show it's just like a juxtaposition between like science, religion, and politics. It's a drama, proper drama, like think The Crown, something along those lines, where it's highfalutin drama. The synopsis is it starts as Albert Einstein explaining his special theory of relativity, which we all know, E equals MC squared, very famous. And at the time when he was creating that theory, he was just a patent clerk. Do you know what I mean? He wasn't doing much. He just had a job to try and support his family, and he came up with that, and obviously became a lecturer and a professor. The story is basically how he, from obscurity, became like the greatest mind in humanity, or so people think. And to the fact that if someone's brainy, you call them a bit of an Einstein, don't you? It's one of those things. It's synonymous with it. But it also like explains his early life, which I didn't know anything about his early life. Growing up in Germany, and he went to Italy for a while, and Switzerland and things like that. I mean, if you know anything about history, that was at the time of World War I, and then leading into World War II and the rise of the Nazi Party. So the drama unfolds over 10 episodes with him basically being mocked by most of the scientific members of the Nobel, from the Nobel Peace Prize, the Nobel Committee, like people saying stuff like, this theory of relativity is ridiculous. We've got 200 years worth of science. We've got Isaac Newton's teachings and things like that. Do you know what I mean? And and Einstein's saying, look, this is the reason why, let's say, we revolve around the sun, because of gravity and light and speed and time, and just obsessed with all that. And his life works on the special theory of relativity, which, like I say, he wrote on that essay in 1907. And nobody cared about it until like 1940. So it's one of those things. What I found interesting mainly about this show is the later episodes when he got a bit older, and he moves to America. And as we all know, he helped to create something that destroyed millions of people, thousands of people. And basically it talks about how he didn't do that, because, I mean, historically he didn't. He just basically showed them how they could do that, rather than, he didn't specifically screw in the screws on a atom bomb. Do you know what I mean?
No, he was the equivalent of a consultant for the Manhattan Project.
And then it talks about his nuclear proliferation theories and how he believed that nobody should have that power, just because you've got that power. Like for instance, everyone can light a match. It doesn't mean you're going to burn every house down. Do you know what I mean? That kind of thing. and it's really clever. There's a nice play on his ongoing war with J. Edgar Hoover, the director of the FBI.
They didn't get on.
Famously didn't like communists and Jews, and he suspected Albert Einstein, and everyone has in history suspected Albert Einstein being a famous communist. But this drama goes into was he, wasn't he type thing, and does it really matter? Because genius is just genius, isn't it? He wasn't there to give his political ideals. It was science for the betterment of humanity type thing.
Yes, I thought you said you were lowering the tone here. I talked about a cartoon with functional alcoholics shooting the shit out of each other, and you're talking about Albert fucking Einstein and a highfalutin period drama.
It's just.
He hasn't got to my life story yet. That's why.
It's just really good. I mean, the lowering tone aspects come from the fact that it's HBO style drama, even though it's National Geographic. So Einstein is known to be a top shagger, and he did a lot of top shagging. There you go.
Here we go.
Is there like a top trumps set?
So
this is the real thing we wanted to know.
Yeah, Trump's at the bottom of the
So
deck.
throughout his life, as much as he loved science, he also loved the ladies. He's been married twice, and he had over 200 mistresses in his lifetime. Up until his death, he was still a top shagger. And there's quite a bit of that in the show, which may have or may not have held my attention throughout.
There it is, right there.
But it's just really good. And like, I was looking at the reviews, you know, when you go on IMDb when you're watching something and you're getting into it, and it's one of the most split reviews I've ever seen. Like on IMDb, it's got an 83%, but there's so many 1-star reviews from what I can only assume to be people that don't believe in his methods and things like that. It's quite politically charged, these 1-star reviews,
Right.
and it just made me fall down this rabbit hole of Einstein and stuff like that. And it's on Disney Plus. There's a lot into it that, I mean, it's hard to say the spoiler. I could spoil it for you, but this man was real and he's well documented about what he's done. And guess what? He's dead. Do you know what I mean?
My favorite fact about Einstein is that when he was dying in hospital, the only nurse that was ever attending him couldn't speak German.
Yes.
So no one knows what his last words were.
Yes, because he did. He died of an ulcer from when he was younger that split up. That obviously erupted when he were older, and he did a stress-induced type ulcer, one of those kind of situations. And he was told a year before his death, you'll survive to be a very, very old man if you quit smoking, chocolate, and shagging. And he said, forget that. Forget that. Like, he didn't drink a drop of alcohol his whole life, but he loved his pipe and his women. So yeah, absolute props to Einstein, and I pour one out to the man. Absolute legend. You're a legend.
Not anything to do with discovering the theory of relativity, just the fact.
Well, he's still technically a theory, which
no, fuck off! Stop with that bullshit.
I'm just saying it's a theory. No one's ever said it's fact, but I believe it. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I'm all for it. But
you're all for it. You're all for relativity.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, but yeah, it's just really if the drama does do some really cool, like, explaining the science bits. It does some really good graphics and stuff. It came out in like 2017, but like it's been renewed obviously now, and the Aretha Franklin one on season 3. I'm looking forward to that. I've started the Pablo.
That's a really interesting choice. I mean, I think she's amazing.
She's a genius, mate. She's a genius.
What an interesting choice to have her in there.
I've started the Pablo Picasso season 2. Starting off a bit slower, a bit duller, but still Picasso, genius in his own right. And season 4 with Biggie, I'm really looking forward to that one. That's going to be the absolute creme de la creme, cream of the crop. So, yeah, that's what I've been doing. And I've also, really quickly, before we run away, I started playing Recore today. Have you heard of this game?
No.
Yeah.
It's a game that I didn't know existed until this morning, and I've started playing it, and I've played about 7 hours of it, and it's incredible.
Fantastic.
I love it. I'm not going to explain to it too much until I've finished it, but yeah, play Rico while you're waiting. So, Biggie, take it away.
Heroes rise, heroes fall. We see them standing on the front line, standing tall. They're risking life and limb to answer the call. But what are they fighting for? Well, to answer that question, welcome our first ever guest from the superb Dungeons & Dragons campaign podcast, Dungeon Dads, with Thom Blaylock.
It's good to see you guys.
John Watson.
Hello.
And Tim Carr.
Hello, hello.
Heroes rise, heroes fall. I see them on the front line, standing tall. They're risking life and limb to answer the call. But what they fighting for?
Don't know, don't care, just along for the ride. But if everyone must stand, I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna win inside.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Hey, everybody. Thanks
That
for
was
hanging
awesome.
So
out.
much for having us.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Thank you.
What I'm going to do now, guys, is I'm going to pass the baton to Gadget as the super duper fangirl. And
Exactly.
he's going to basically take proceedings from now on. Okay? So I'm going to step back and enjoy.
Sounds great.
Yes.
Over to you.
Okay, so full disclosure coming up, and I've followed you guys from I think nearly the beginning, and I support you on Patreon. So this is entirely biased. We just have to get that out up front. I love the Dungeon Dads podcast, and I've been talking it up for a couple of months now on Modern Escapism. But for those who haven't been listening to me, because I'm a gobshite and people don't often listen to me, can one of you describe what your podcast is about?
I don't think any of us can describe what our podcast
Tim, yeah. So we have this. If you're not familiar with actual play podcasts, this is a little bit different from like just us sitting around playing a game. It's I would say about 50-50 improv acting and improv storytelling using the Dungeons and Dragons 5e format as our scaffold to sort of tell our story. We're all creative people. I'm a writer. John's an actor. Tim is a director. Sam is a director. Everybody works in those fields, and we're just really good friends. And so we started playing 4 years ago. Geez, it's a long time ago.
Yeah, it's a while ago. Gotta add the COVID year too, which is
Right? Good grief.
Yeah,
Which counts as 10 years.
Yeah.
we all live so far apart that we initially tried to get together, like, let's have a drink on a Sunday night and talk. And and that didn't. We're such dudes that we just couldn't do it. We couldn't bring ourselves to not have a reason to be showing up. And so we started doing this. I think I played when I was in my teens. Sam played a little bit when he was in his teens. John read all the books when he was a kid because he didn't have any friends to play with him.
John.
Sorry. Correct me if I'm wrong, John. I mean, look, I love this guy.
It just wasn't a popular thing down here. It just wasn't very popular, so I had to learn how to do other things. But yes, I learned the lore as much as I could.
And Tim, you never really played before, right? You were a WoW guy and
I dabbled in Robotech in late elementary school, which was it's kind of the sci-fi equivalent. Though I don't think we actually ever played. I think it just got to designing characters and trying to draw mechs when I was in 5th and 6th grade.
That's exactly what
I was like. Yeah, how many missiles can I put on this rack on his shoulder?
Never played a campaign. Just was obsessed with the mechs.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
I
awesome.
think I may be the oldest person here. I'm 47, and it's the first time I've ever done it. It was with Gadget the other.
Yeah, so Thom, I don't know if you listened to. They did.
I did
a 2-part. Yeah, it's awesome. So all these guys know Dungeons and Dragons, and hopefully all the listeners have some experience with what Dungeons and Dragons is and how it goes. And I did want to commend you guys on your sort of commitment to it and your ability to jump in and make
Can
it
I just
work
say as
considering
well,
was
it might have been
first
a
time.
two-parter to you guys, but it weren't a two-parter to us.
Well, no,
We did it
I
in
mean,
one shot.
no, it was a good one shot, and I think it was a
About
good
5
decision.
hours.
Yeah, sounds about right.
And that is testament to Gadget's writing and the effort from
And we were
the rest of
drunk.
us because we were up for it because we knew it was Gadget's little baby. He was really wanted to push it for us, and I was a little bit dubious myself just because I never played it before. I played RPGs in my gaming, but this was just something slightly out of my depth, And he gently held our hand as best as he could, and I
shook
think he
us.
did a great job.
Yeah. Well, so
I was like full on into like as soon as Biggie was saying, I was like, I don't really know what to do or how we do this. And it's like, okay, when we went through rolling out our characters and what our character's going to be, and he said, right, come up with a backstory and how they look, and then it's like, yeah, I'm fully in now, trying to.
You acted perfectly as well, Stig. You were really into the role.
Stig, you
man.
were the halfling. You were the halfling, right? You were the
No,
the
that's
bard?
me.
No, that was him.
Oodles was the half.
Oodles. I just gotta say, man.
I can see it in the picture now.
I can see it now too.
Now that I've seen your face, I was like, oh
Yeah,
yeah.
I've shaved my beard off, so it's bad luck at the moment.
He's now half a half.
Yeah.
the bard, man, that when you were critting on that with using your rapier against that minotaur,
Dude,
and I
I
was
know.
like, this is exactly the dynamic that was forming there is exactly our our game.
I can't believe it was happening. All the way through, they were saying, like, oh, you've picked a halfling. You're a bard. You're going to be the worst character fight. And I'm
We
there
did
just
not say
fucking
that.
stabbing him in the knees. I'm
I was supposed
kicking
to be
ass.
Jackie Chan. I couldn't hit.
It's a
mean, isn't
crazy.
that-
It's a crazy game.
Yeah.
Like,
I love it. It's really
I remember
good.
the first time I played, like I was playing this like rogue assassin character, and Tom's like, these skeletal warriors pop up, and I'm like, yeah, and I flip in and I start stabbing, and Tom's like, well, you can't do that. I'm like, why not? He's like, well, you just used your one attack, and I got another one, and I'm gonna do it. And he's like, no,
Yeah.
that's not how. I was like,
Forget these
okay.
rules.
Yeah.
I'm like, why is my rogue so terrible? And then the bard is so awesome. Why?
Always be the bard.
Yeah. Yeah, if anything I've learned from Dungeons and Dragons is bards are wildly overpowered. It kind of brings on to like the next one's like, so because everyone approaches D&D differently.
Absolutely.
Like for instance, I've mentioned on the podcast before that I also listen to Dungeons and Daddies, just to make my life even more confusing with my subjects.
Yeah, confused me with it as well.
Yeah, and like their podcast is great. It's very funny, but it's barely D&D. It's more
it is
improv
barely.
comedy than anything.
Yeah,
And
I'm caught up
occasionally
on that
their
one.
DM will ask them. Yeah, occasionally their DM will ask them to roll something, but it's mostly them just being funny. Whereas with Dungeon Dads, you guys are
Oh, there's role playing there.
you're much closer to the rules, but there is actually a lot of quite heavy role playing as well alongside the funny stuff. So how do you approach the D&D rule set versus kind of the other stuff on the side? Do you go rules first? Do you go narrative first? That kind of thing.
So for the main campaign, I'm the DM, and it's Thom, and I spent so much time preparing for the very first time we played. So not for the podcast, but the game that John was talking about, where he like tried to flip into the middle of a bunch of skeletons, and he was like, "I'm gonna do this," and it was sort of like that Key and Peele skit where the guy comes in, he's like, "I'm gonna be a giant."
Oh, I love
Where's the
that.
Alizé at? Like,
I love it.
like it was a little bit like that,
Yeah.
But I spent so much time reading the player's handbook and the Dungeon Master's Guide, and I was like, this is so dorky, and I don't want my colleagues to see me, but I'm sitting there at work at NYU where I teach, and I'm like, just flipping through the thing and like highlighting and using like school resources to create DM screens, so I'm like keeping all the stuff straight. So I felt like for my friends when we first got started, having the rules be the rules was really important, because smarter people than me had set them up to be balanced and to create this like really fun, ever increasing difficulty.
Yeah.
But this is the one thing I can say that's really, really fun about taking a character from first level all the way up to however high, is that it's on the player to learn the rules of your character, like more than anything else. The way we play, there's often these moments where, like in the most recent episode, John's character Ionis casts Storm Sphere. I had never read that spell. and I knew he had it on his card. I should have taken a look at it beforehand, but I said, "Okay, John, like you're in charge here. Tell me what this spell does." But of course, as he's telling me, I'm like feverishly reading up on the spell to make sure he doesn't try to
It's just his way of buying
pull a
time
fuck
so
over
he
on
can read
me.
it for himself.
Yeah. But so we try to be really. I try to keep really close to the rules as possible, and then when someone tries to do something cool, the nice thing about 5e rules is that there are so many ways to just like wing it and create a new rule on the fly, which we do a lot of, right?
Yeah.
And so for me, that's always the really fun part, is both like the world building, but also world building with rules that haven't been done yet before. So like sometimes, I mean, and this is like really in the weeds, but like, perception, like you guys rolled a bunch of perception checks when you were in there. That's like the most common thing to roll.
I couldn't hit shit or see shit.
You couldn't hit. Yeah, it was the worst, Biggie. I have to say, like, I felt so sorry for you by about the end. I was like, I hope he's having fun. It
Poor
sounds
dragon.
like he is.
Poor little dragon.
I was having fun rolling shit.
Yeah.
The thing is, his character art and everything. I thought this dragon's going to be the greatest character ever.
Totally.
And dude, you dropped the ball. You dropped the ball.
I was like one of those background characters. Just
I think it must apply to one person every campaign, because I was listening to episode 40 of Dungeon Dads today, and John has the worst rules throughout a campaign, but he got a really bad rule about halfway through. This was when I was lifting weights at the time, and Sam just shouts out, John's back! And then dropped the weight on my chest.
Yeah, don't listen to it at the gym.
Sticky was the same. Sticky was the same, because he had that initial attack on the Minotaur and just crashed into the wall behind him.
He did end up killing it eventually.
But then he just absolutely took him out at the end. So, I mean, it was great for him.
I feel like it's part of the storytelling that works for it too. It's like it's not exciting if you walk in and everything is like, boom, you knock that out of the way. Boom, you knock these 10 guys out of the way. Like,
the first boss, the Minotaur, it was like an hour. It took so long.
Minutes,
it's crazy how long combat actually takes. And then when you break it down into like Dungeons and Dragons time, it was like 24 seconds.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah.
And then you're like, oh yeah, we got to move. Okay, sure. We just spent an hour negotiating 24 seconds.
Yeah.
Well, the best thing for me, I've been astonished to see how well they've set up a character. You know, if you know how to set up a character, right? Like if you look at all the stats, and if you look at all the different spells, and then you try to form that into a backstory. Like, you know, my guy, he's spoiled. He's really skinny. He is really good at setting up defense. You know, I worked on those kinds of things to keep my character alive. But then when I apply it to his actual character, it's like, no, that makes a lot of sense. You know, he grew up pampered. He probably doesn't like a lot of pain. If he gets in trouble, he's going to run. You know, and then if he looks for a spell, it's probably going to be like a giant explosion spell that's either going to get rid of everybody, or if they're not done, then he can't handle it and he's going to run off. You know what I mean? So it's so when you take those kinds of things into account, it then comes up with your character for you, essentially. Yeah. Because if something, you know, if a roll goes poorly, it's like, well, you know, he was, you know, like say my familiar was killed. It's like, oh, that was a bad roll. It's like, oh, I had tears in my eyes. My character, you know, my pet was destroyed, so I just couldn't handle it.
You were really upset about Saber dying.
It becomes real to you, though. That's the thing.
Yeah. Please. That mongoose, man. I want to hear a live version of him, please.
So good.
There's a little ASMR in there for everybody.
Yeah, just a little bit of ASMR for anyone who's not into D&D.
See, all I like to do with mine is, because I just set him up to be a massive hard bastard. But like, if something goes wrong, I just blame the fact that he's got low intelligence. So he's a bit stupid. So he ran head first into but that's the best thing I can do. He ran into the battle, but he missed completely, so he ran into the wall. He's just a little bit dumb.
But I mean, John's right now. And what I like when we did Grasswell Manor was you all kind of embodied it. Like Oodles' bard was might not have been the strongest, but he was very clever. So like
Like real life.
When we were doing the Chimera fight, he said, "Can I climb on the goat head?" I'm like, "What?"
Yeah. If you're going to attack a chimera, you go for the goat head. It's the least threatening animal on a chimera. Everyone knows that.
That's a good point.
If you can hold onto the horns, they can't
That's
hurt
what
you,
I'm
right?
saying.
So you're good.
You grip tight and you just pray. That's what it
Those
is.
eyes, though. Those eyes are
Was that
so
after
creepy.
you were hiding around the corner, if I remember?
Look, I'm a
Yes, you were.
halfling. What am I going to do?
I hear you. I'm playing a halfling in our premium campaign, and it's like, they're like, John, don't disengage. I'm like, you're all giants.
Say to the
You might
dwarf.
think it's a giant chimera to you, but to us, to us halflings, it's even bigger. Crazy.
So actually, John, you just mentioned that. So you have the Patreon campaign as well, which is Mountain City Madness. Plus, you also all have an offline game that you all play. How do you play this much D&D and work
And have
and
lives.
be dads and have a life and stuff like that?
With a lot of begging for forgiveness from our spouses. Yeah.
Yes. Also, we will beg for forgiveness to their spouses for coming on an hour early for their own recording. to
As
speak
my
to us.
spouse is kicking off that she can't go to bed.
Yes, and yes. Sorry to Oodles' spouse as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been kicked out of the bedroom for recording for that purpose.
I'm not moving my office for nobody.
I have to see behind me where my computer is. Our living room is right there. So every Sunday, I literally have to just send my wife to bed early.
Go to bed.
Just like
Same.
8:30. Bye. It's like she's fine. She's cool with it.
At least
so.
my kids are asleep by 8
Well,
p.m.
thanks to all of the spouses.
Yeah.
As far as playing the multiple campaigns, like we have, so the casual game has more players in it. It has a few other friends that we've played with that are sort of we've been playing with since before we started the podcast. And so it was one of those things, like we can't just like drop them because we started doing the podcast.
True.
And then when we were thinking about making a Patreon and coming up with goals that people would want to pay for, we thought, okay, another campaign would be something that people would be worth, would be interesting. And Sam, who couldn't make it tonight, is the DM for that one. And he took a very different tack on how that campaign plays and feels compared to our main campaign, right? Our main campaign is a lot of stuff in the woods. We're trying to save a valley. We're,
It's
going
epic.
between disputed territory. It's very epic in the scale of things. And then the Mountain City Mayhem, Sam's campaign, is urban. It takes place in a city, where what comes to light very early on is the relationships that you make and break and fuck with will have lasting repercussions, because these are not people that you're going to pass once and never see again.
Yeah.
You're in a city environment where, like, my character is a dwarf who's a brewmaster and has a brewery in the city. And so he has like a business to think about and, connections through that. And then John's character is a bard and has like his public facing persona. And yet here we are, we start off that campaign as like con men trying to con rich people by telling them their place is haunted, using magic to haunt their place and then cleanse it out.
I love it.
Right.
So it's like, it starts off like a little bit Ghostbusters-y, except we're making the ghosts.
Yeah.
And it's just a big con job that
Love
Milo and Darbin have done, and they've brought my character in just as muscle, because my
Muscle,
character is also like, he's a fighter, he's not smart,
Yeah.
he's a couple hundred years old, and in dwarven life that's about midlife, so he's just having a midlife crisis of like, just doing beer, I've done this, like this is mundane, and just wanted to branch out into something and came across these guys.
Oh, wow.
And now needs money.
Yeah,
As luck would have it.
I do enjoy Mountain City Mayhem. It's got a wonderful feel of a caper about it. That's the best way to describe it.
Yeah, it's a little bit noir, almost like film noir in terms of like the style. Like there's a bit of that in there. There's multiple layers of intrigue, so it is very different.
It's the Zodiac of D&D.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Sam.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah.
Yep.
So, do all of you, are you a DM in a different game? Because obviously, if you're a DM, you're not playing, you're obviously enjoying it, but the other guys are playing as characters and you're in control. So I take it there's got pros and cons for being a DM and being a character.
So John does our casual game, and then Thom does our main campaign, and Sam does the Mountain City Mayhem campaign. I'm the only one who doesn't regularly DM.
I don't
Tim
think
just
I'd be
sits
able
back
to
and
do
enjoys
either.
it.
Yeah, I mean, I have done.
There's
in the
no
past,
way I'd
but-
be able to do that. It'd fall off a cliff straight away. I'm usually too drunk to do it.
As much as Gadget, I think, enjoyed doing it, you can imagine his head, the cogs going off, trying to keep control of
It's
what
the
he was
ultimate
doing
character,
that
the
night.
DM, isn't it? It's the ultimate.
You got to be able to play.
Universe.
Yeah, you got to play
Well,
all
and
the
I know
characters.
for me, I was the newbie. Like I read a lot of books, but like the books that I read weren't like the Dungeon Master's Guide or the Player's Handbook. I was reading like R.A. Salvatore, the Dritz Dord and like actual like. So I knew the characters. I knew that there were spells. I knew a lot of lore, that might pop up in some of these D&D games, right? But like the actual game mechanics, I knew nothing. And so we played this first game, and I'm like way behind. And then Tom's like, I just can't play this. I just can't do this game anymore. And I'm like, but I have to play. You know what? I'll do the next one. And so for me, it helped me to catch up with everybody else that much faster. Because then I had to read the DM guide, and I had to, really know a lot more about how the game is played. And I just got instead of making up my own story, I just grabbed Tyranny of is it Tyranny of Dragons, I think, or maybe it's that's the combo. The Horde of the Dragon Queen and Rise of Tiamat. And so we're playing the two of them, and I've got them all to like level 10 now.
The DM guides that I've seen, they seem to be bigger than the player's handbooks and things like that. They seem to be tomes.
They're
about the same.
Size.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a lot. But
I know Gadget's got them all. Look,
Within reach.
nerd.
Yeah.
Yep.
well,
Yeah.
the best part
Tasha's
about
delivered
those.
this week.
Yo, gosh, man, awesome!
Tasha's great.
It's and it just adds so much to the game. I loved reading that book. The good thing about it is that they're also just well organized, and you read the table of contents and you can get to where you need to go quickly in order to figure out your own part of it.
We'll say the first time I looked through the DM guide, and I was just like, oh, what am I getting myself into? But I think what I found out, because I listen to so many Dungeons and Dragons podcasts, I've learned the game through the podcasts.
Well, that's the skill of it. That's the good thing about them.
Yeah, it's like it's like I'm already a creative person. I've written a book, and I write a lot of stories and that kind of thing. So I knew how to create the story, but it's more how you react to things, which is the difficult thing. Which leads me on to a question very specifically for Thom. How often are your best laid plans ruined by the others, and how often do you dream of bloody revenge?
Oh man, so I think I play up a little bit more of the bloody revenge when we're playing than I really feel, because I actually love watching their minds work and watching them get through the various things I throw in their way, right? So, but there's occasionally I'll have, I prepare scenes, and so in our game, I'll my prep is like a character, a scene, general idea of a battle, right? So I have it ready, and it might be like, if you listen to our campaign, that the Durgers, the underground dwarves, feature heavily in the early parts of the game. There was a fight that I had created that I thought would be really fun, that could have worked for the Durgers. It could have worked for a group of halflings that were up to no good, that they never came across, for instance. And it could have worked for this group of bardic travelers who I really wanted to keep in the game, and then they became the Horané brothers later on. So I have these fights, these scenes that are ready, and every once in a while, Gadget, I have a scene that I'm just like, this is gonna be fucking amazing. And I don't have any alternative for it to work other than the one way. And I'll build up to it, and I'm like, here it comes. Like, it's going to happen right now. And then these assholes are like, nah, I don't think I want to do that. And that does kind of hurt a little bit. We made a really big deal about the Goblin Market. That really does. I really had a big, awesome 2-episode arc in mind for the Goblin Market. They skipped it, and then they started apologizing for it offline afterwards. I'm like, no, fuck you guys. You're not ever getting the Goblin Market. There's going to be a bar named the Goblin Market at some point, and I'm going to be like, no, it's locked. It's closed. You can't go in there.
There was that moment in Gadget's campaign where there was a goblin and Stig threw the dagger and killed the goblin. And then afterwards, Gadget was like, you skipped about an hour's worth of a boss battle. I'm like, oh, sorry, man. Sorry. I can't
No, it's fine. That one was going to be Waves of Goblins. Because it was
Waves of Goblins. Wow.
It was
That's my
suspended,
band name at school.
Like 15 goblins that would come in like 3 or 4 waves at them. And I thought, but we were already running on. We were already about 2 hours at that point. So I just
we were about 5 hours at that point.
No, but when we reached that point in the game, like, and I just thought, I'll just say, Stig, you might want to do something here because he was coming up first. I was just like, let's give them an out. But
it worked. It paid off.
Yeah, we wasted an hour at the tavern before we actually responded to your first setup.
I know.
This happens in Dungeons
This is
and
when
Dragons.
you need to roleplay. Oh!
There's a moment again in episode 40 of Dungeon Dads where you can hear Tom's heartbreak because Sam just does something that completely breaks the game and breaks up the setup that Tom's got for the future.
Yeah.
And you're just like, but you can hear Tom's impressed with it. John is astounded by it. Tim's giggling at it. But then Tom just, about 5 minutes later, Tom says, oh, you fucker.
Yeah. That was really, I mean, I didn't, this is one of those situations, Gadget, where the rules as written make it so that these guys can do things that I absolutely wasn't planning on, right? I mean, I don't want to ruin anything for anybody, but like, Sam pulls out some bullshit, which is a plot hook from like episode 8 that like I forgot about.
It was still in his mind.
Yeah, that he skipped it before. Like he was like, no, I'm not doing that. That doesn't fit my character. And at the time, his character didn't really exist because, I asked my guys to like come up with backstories and everything too, and John wrote like 13 pages. Tim had a couple of sisters named, he had a couple of things in there. And Sam was like, I'm a recluse. I'm out on the mountain. I used to be really high level cleric, but now I'm just like out there. Yeah. I'm like, God damn it. Like, well, okay. So like every bit of character building that happened with Abel happened in the moment. And so I'm like, no, what do you mean that's not in your character? Just do this thing. I'm asking you nicely. Do it. And he's like, nope.
It pays off.
It does.
It pays off really well.
Excellent listening, but I felt for you there, Tom, when that happened.
Abel is a pure renegade. It's incredible to listen to.
What would you say is just off the top of your heads, each of yours like favorite moment that's happened in the campaign? Like either something that's kind of like high drama or something ridiculously silly. So something where you sit back and think, yeah, I really enjoy playing fucking D&D.
Well, I mean, this is a little bit of a tough one because I felt like I was sort of there, even though I think I come in and out of it as it was happening. But I think it was episode 17 where Filnir is talking with Heinrich and sort of seeing Heinrich's memory of his, the murder of the docent, like the thing that the catalyst for Filnir's journey into being an adventurer, right? And like seeing that whole moment, like that was something that for me, I was particularly proud of because I was like feeling it as it was happening, but also just like, it was a thought that had occurred to me like a couple episodes earlier of like, what if this is all just been like memento, right? Like he's just remembering it wrong, like the vision has not been told, like he's been told a story by this spirit that's following him around. And this is, the other vision of it, So, I still loved playing that moment and I still come back to that moment sometimes of just, figuring out what happened. And I'm not sure we even have a conclusive answer at this point, 23 episodes later.
Keep it elusive though. Keep that mystery.
Yeah. It's fun.
Yeah. And then there's just been the fun ones of like throwing a dark bubble of tentacles and taking out like 20 soldiers in one go. That was a lot of fun too. And just like the little flourishes on like watching Abel do an awesome backflip down the thing and then Filnir doing an even better one, but nobody's looking and he's just like, let's go. I was like, those are just fun moments for me.
Yeah.
I have a hard time with that question just because I have these great moments in mind, but they're like purely, superficial or whatever. Like mine was definitely episode 23 when I have a bard and a wizard, coming down on me, and Jonas is just like fireballs and death everywhere, and I'm able, But like for me, if I'm given a really tough encounter and I'm able to get through it, for me it's special because I really sucked at this game. so when I go back to it, I'm like, I did something. I was good there. Like that stuff. that stuff is really great for me. And then absolutely, it's those moments where Thom just renders us speechless, like episode 35, where I'm just trying to like figure out where he's even going with it, and he's
that story from Mr. Percy was so
good. Man, he's just dropping bombs, and I'm just like trying and like
off the cuff.
It was rough because I was my character for a minute, and I'm like over here, and Tim and Sam are staring at me, and I'm like on the verge of tears, and my eyes are closed, and I'm just and then the episode's over, and I'm just like, what the fuck is this game?
For the context for that one, because you guys should check out episode 35. But yeah, what happens is Mr. Percy is Ionis's manservant or butler,
manservant.
His body man, just in general. Yeah.
Ionis has this idea of what his privileged childhood was like. And off the cuff, Thom, who was voicing Mr. Percy at the time, relays this most tragic backstory with no preparation, just completely off the top of his head. And it's the most compelling thing I've ever heard. And I was still doing the dishes at the time, and I stopped.
And he didn't get an Emmy.
My hands had stopped. You didn't get an Emmy. We'll have to send him a biggie. But honestly, it's one of the most incredible things I've ever heard, and it's all completely improvised. And Thom finishes the bit of dialogue, and the rest of them are like silent for a second because no one knows what to say. It's brilliant.
It was
Absolutely
so good.
Brilliant stuff.
So good.
What about you, Thom? What's your favorite moment?
It's episode 13, and it is, they have just killed the Horney brothers, and they're returning the like golden treasure to Lakenhearth, which is based on Lakenheath, which maybe you guys have been to. I don't know.
Yeah.
And so they're writing out, and all three of them are like giving John's character ideas of how to be the most badass he can be as he like approaches the town, and he like levitates himself, and he's holding this like their
shield,
idol.
right?
It's the shield. It's a shield, but it's like their
town symbol.
Their town symbol. That's like their relic, basically, that they have. And he puts it on top of this building. And of course, I fuck with him. I'm like, yes, you put it on top of the agricultural co-op, like, and not an important building. But like, it was this moment of like the three, like they felt so good about themselves as human beings, like not just as characters. And I was like, that was the first moment in this game when we were playing when I could see that like we were all like really in it, like we were deep in it.
Yeah.
So that was really, really special to me. And that happened in Austin, right, Tim? That one was,
we recorded
14.
It was 14 and 15 in Austin.
14 and 15 when we actually recorded together in person. Yeah.
Okay. But it was so that was really special, and that sort of led to the first time we ever in the same room together. Like, period. Like, the four of us have never been together except for that one time.
Oh, we haven't either.
No, ever. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
No.
Apart from me and Stig.
Me and you have.
Yeah, me and Stig have. We have embraced in public. We have hugged.
In a hug.
Yeah.
They were asked not to do that again.
It was on the tube as well, the London tube.
That's awesome.
I hugged him. I went, "Come here."
I tried to, like, first time meeting him, I was like, I just went to shake his hand. He was going, "Don't do handshakes. Give us a big hug."
I didn't realise how muscular you was. Not trying to make you inflate your head. I was like, "Oh, he's a big boy. Come here."
I can tell from here, from like 4,000 miles away.
Oh, he's a big boy. He's a
Look
big
at
boy.
that guy. That's no halfling.
Oh no, definitely not.
It was also like serendipitous timing when the episode came out just as like we were entering our first lockdown.
It was weird.
Like I remember listening to that as I was starting the lockdown. It was like you guys, hey, this is the first time we've ever met together. It's like we can't go outside.
The first lockdown. First lockdown was about what, 10 years ago?
That's what it feels like.
It's all
Yeah.
blurred into one.
Something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a weird thing, but as a podcast, I don't know how much buffer you guys put into your episodes, but when we started, especially in this format where it's not topical in any way, shape, or form, we recorded a lot before we started releasing episodes, mostly because we were all
did a
very
few,
rusty
didn't we?
with editing. We wanted to make sure we had plenty of time to get the episodes in good working order. We were recording half as often as we do now. Like that's one thing that's come out of this COVID lockdown is we all had a lot more time and a lot less social escapes. So it was a lot easier for our spouses to be like, yeah, you can play weekly. Like, like you don't see anybody. Sure. It's good for your stress.
You're a much nicer person.
Yes.
My
you're
wife
doing
keeps
this
saying,
thing with
my
your
wife
friends.
keeps saying, "Oh, you're talking to your internet friends again. It's nice.
Yeah.
It's nice. It's nice that you've got friends." I'm like, I've got friends, but I'm not allowed to see them.
Right. So this became the escape, and so since lockdown, we basically upped the recording sessions and playing sessions. So that's part of how we've been able to go backwards a little bit. How we've been able to do the offline campaign and Mountain City Mayhem, this one is because we've been basically playing every week. Yes, and feed the children.
It's basically Sunday
most
night.
of them. Yeah, most of them, the kids are in bed, aside from me, because I'm on the West Coast in the U.S. And so,
sucks.
Yeah.
The best thing about England is one time zone.
Right.
Yeah, one time zone.
Really the best thing? I'm sure
That's
it's a
not the
convenient
best thing about England.
It feels
not
like
the best
at the
thing about
moment.
England.
Leading
Don't
on
even
from
ask
that.
Oodles about time.
Yeah, I don't know
please.
anything about
No.
time. But leading on from that, about England, I want to quickly discuss about the English accent that some of you like to
Uh-oh. Sorry.
put on.
Apologies.
Wait,
Apologies.
Apart from Abel, obviously.
It was not English accent, yes. Not a British accent.
But the other English accents I keep hearing are accents that you hear on Netflix, not real English accents.
But is it like British actors Netflix? Or like
Yeah.
American actors doing British
American
accent?
actors doing, British.
Well, I
It's-
mean,
You'll have to
that
try
fits the
out
bill.
some Yorkshire. That's
yeah,
what
like
Ma-
me
mine
and
Oodles'
Sig are from
accent is.
Yorkshire, which even though to a lot of people we sound exactly the same, but to other ears we're completely different. Because Stig's posh, he's posh Yorkshire.
Posh, I'm not posh.
Stig's from
posh,
Yorkshire
but I'm
with money. I'm from the Yorkshire ghetto.
Yeah, the lower part of the town, remember?
Yeah. I'm working class, Stig's middle class, and I can hear it, but a lot of people can't hear the difference. But
And I sound like American actors doing English accents.
yeah. Biggie's the only southerner.
So we just use Biggie as our out, because
Biggie
Yeah,
sounds
that's
like
what it is.
to my ears a Londoner, but he lives nowhere near London. So
Right down south.
Well, yeah, but by the standards that Tom set in the campaign, Biggie would be a Montero noble.
Yeah,
You
that's
know.
right. That's right.
He's got that accent for it.
yeah, that English accent that gets put on, it tickles me. It tickles me a lot.
It tickles you where? Like what's
In my tummy.
You're right in the lower part of your tummy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will admit I only go with what I know, and
Lord of the
what I
Rings.
know would be Lord of the Rings or Netflix or something. Yeah. But that's
I
the
was going to say you're
best I got.
fluent mongoose, are you?
Yeah.
Yes, I am actually. I took a class on it in college. Now,
Served
what
you well.
I'm really afraid of. I'm really afraid of you listening to my Mountain City Mayhem one, because that one's really a stretch. Because I'm trying to go for the Cockney, and I'm like this is terrible, but
Apples
I'm
and
still
pears.
going
I'm
for it.
signing up just to hear
is
that.
it like Don Cheadle in Ocean's 11?
It's
No,
more
it's
like
Dick
that.
Dick
Yeah.
Van Dyke.
Yeah.
Dick Van Dyke.
Yeah, it's really-
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh no.
There's nothing. It's nothing good about
terrible.
it. But
But the best part I find about Ionis's voice is whenever he has to be annoyed about something, but not like legitimately angry about something. It's like when either like Abel said something, or he's fallen over, or he's rolled a bad dice. Like, God damn it! And he's just this very staccato annoyance. It's absolutely brilliant.
Well, I guess we could ask Oodles, like, what can we do to make it better?
Instead of "God damn it," you need to say
Just change their voices. You got it.
Don't do it. Just stick with American.
Real actors in.
You just need some colloquialisms. Like, I can't even say it, I'm drunk.
Fucking hell.
You need words like bugger instead of god damn it.
Bugger.
Yeah,
I do say bollocks.
Bollocks
every now and then.
Yeah, keep saying that. Keep saying that.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
I'm sure there's a few can'ts instead of can'ts, and it, like
Yeah.
you know, like
Whoa.
I'm sure I've said schedule instead of schedule or whatever. I don't know. You know, like there's
It's
things
fine,
like
it's
that.
Fine. I mean, where I live, we say shit a lot more than fuck. So
Right.
shit's a bit more of a word, but yeah, hey, you're doing fine. Don't worry. Did
you think when you came on to join this podcast tonight that you would be getting dialect lessons from a drunk Yorkshireman?
I mean, we'll take it. It's authentic, right?
I was really worried that I was gonna like accidentally get into go just automatically into a terrible accent and putting on some British face, and I'm just really happy I did not. But I also was like preparing myself. I was like, oh man, I never talk shit about anyone from England, like ever.
Are you allowed to? We can handle it.
Right? No, but it's not that. It's like it doesn't like it's not something that comes up in my life.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
but then I was like, oh my god, I might, because I always say the wrong thing, and I was
You
like,
should listen to our outtakes, mate.
oh my god. So I was like, oh man, I have a list of things that I'm not allowed to say.
You can say anything on this.
No. Tim and John are like, nope. They've cut enough of my shit out.
Don't give him that access.
It's all right. Gadgets are our editor, so he just cuts it out anyway.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
And whatever's the funniest but least offensive, I stick on the end as an Easter egg just to humiliate
so
Oodles.
nice.
It's usually Oodles. He constantly forgets that we're recording.
Yeah, and I've
just come up with the
podcasted for
most
like 10 years and I
bullshit.
forget that there's a microphone there. It's ridiculous.
That's good stuff. It's comfortable for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So just to drag this back to its original point, and just
Sorry.
get through answer some of the questions. A few of our listeners are getting into D&D because I won't shut up about it.
Nice.
Won't.
Well done.
Trust me,
Awesome.
won't.
Yes. What advice would you give them to get started, other than what we did, which was play it on a podcast?
Yeah, he threw us right in there. It wasn't like, let's have a practice or let's have a few goes. It's like, right, this is the first time you've all played and we're going to record it.
That was rough. I mean, it's rough that you had to. So there's two things. One, I think start at first level. So you guys started at level 12 or level
10.
13? 10.
It was
Okay.
10.
Yeah.
So that the inclination is like, I want you to be a little bit like a badass. I want you to have like some toys that are like
works.
badass toys. And
I started level 10, but rolled like a level 1.
yeah, well, the really awesome thing if you're just getting started is to actually like feel the progression. And like when you start off as a level 1 bard, just for instance, you get 8 hit points. You're going up against skeletons and like really low level guys who, if they hit you, they do 1d8 plus 2. So they can kill you with 1 hit. And everything in the world can kill you with 1 hit. Everything you do can kill you with 1 hit. And there's this it's like really like incredible feeling of progression when you get to like 16 hit points. Like, I can take another hit.
Yeah, when you naturally hit
Like,
level 3.
you know.
You're like, yeah.
Oh, I've really fucked up here.
Yeah, like or like one really fucked up hit, which always happens, right? But yeah, so like, and then when you get to 5th level and you're a wizard, and you get that fireball, you know, and you're like, and it's suddenly you can kill like 50 skeletons with one 6-second turn, you know, and you do feel like a badass.
We are considerably lacking a wizard.
Yes.
Yeah.
I guess it's like that. It's very similar to how when you play a video game, that's when you level that up as well. Like I was playing Valheim, and at the start of it, you are running away from the little shits that come out of the wood.
Yeah.
And everything that touches you, you're like, oh, I've got to run away, especially the trolls, massive. And eventually,
Like real life.
you are literally just so overpowered with the best weapons. You can just you go up to a troll and you're just like, you just get out of my way. It's like, you're an inconvenience now, just go away. Like,
Yeah, so that's the one thing. And then the other thing about that is if you start off at level 1, you can learn everything you can do in about 15 minutes. Right? So like, okay, I've got a rapier. All right, I can roll a d20 and I can add 2 to it to hit somebody. You're a bard. I mean, just for instance, bard, you got a bonus action. You can like throw out an inspiration.
Yeah.
Just not a whole lot you can do with it. You've got, so you've got your things and they're really, really scaled back and it's really, 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 really simple. And then as you get more into it, which happens like as you play, I have not known anybody who started playing this game and said, kind of stupid. Like I'm sure they're out there. But like
There'll be one or two people, yeah.
Yeah. But like it's definitely one of those things where it's such a social event. It's just so fun, and you're also doing this like progressive building up of a character. I mean, character building, storytelling. It's so great. If you're the kind of person who likes that sort of thing, it's perfect for you. And so like that progression that happens with your friends over the course of years, sometimes, right? I mean, like our offline campaign we're in year 4 of that campaign. And so like, we have memories of like the time Baudolino cast invisibility and like ran away from his friends while they got beaten up and eaten by shape changers.
That's Tom's character, by the way.
That was my character. Yeah, that's right.
Wow.
And
so we more remembered as Tom casting invisibility on himself and hiding like a piece of shit.
I've done that.
Why not? But so like those things, like you get to know your friends really well because you get to see how what's cool to build for them. Like what's a cool character? Like what do they find interesting? Like I never thought in a million years, for instance, John would like a wizard. And then like he's so into it and he's like texting me, hey, I really need to find a scroll for Scorching Ray. And I'm like, I got you covered. And next episode, you find a scroll of Skywrite.
You son of a...
So anyway, that's like, I mean, it's that. So that's the big thing. Is like start early, start at level 1, build up, and then be really, really, really kind to your DM as he's learning because it is.
Oh, we love our DM. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's so much like this is the thing. Like Gadget, if you keep doing this,
Yeah.
It gets so much easier to prep for a game because you get a better sense of like what you need to have prepared and what you don't need to have prepared, right? Like you need to have characters prepared in your mind. You don't need to have a dungeon prepared. You don't need to have every chest and what's inside of it, right?
Yeah.
Like those kind of things you learn as you go, like what you actually need. And it's a
you
lot.
can roll for that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, funny that you brought up us continuing this because we're going to use this opportunity to announce something here to everybody. With you guys on.
Tell us.
Oh my god.
Announcements.
Yes.
We're quitting.
Yeah.
This is the final episode of Modern Escapism.
No, we're about to become strong competition for you because we're setting up a side pod with a D&D campaign.
With real British accents.
Hey.
Oh, I love it.
That's awesome.
There'll be 4 of us in the field, I tell you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, we have settled on a name for it. The campaign podcast is going to be called "Do Dragons Dream of Scorched Sheep?"
Oh, I
Nice.
love that.
Yes.
Thank you.
That's so good.
Thank you. I named it.
Yeah,
I
it took us
love
a while.
it.
There was a lot of
I used my bardic inspiration to name
that
it.
took some time.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There was in
It was
our,
a week.
in our private Discord there was like a week's worth of messages of dungeons, like trying to get that.
We
SEO,
nearly
just like,
went for
fuck
Dungeons
it.
and Dickheads, but
Yeah, that was You know what? Unfortunately, there's 2 other podcasts named Dungeons
Yeah,
and
that's what
Dickheads.
Gadget says. He said it exists. There's plenty of dickheads out there.
Yeah,
so.
that's right.
Yeah. So yeah, that's going to be coming up. We're aiming to get the first episode out in June. There is going to be a 5th voice joining us, who shall be revealed later.
Yeah.
And these 3 reprobates are going to be rolling over their characters, but rolling them down from level 10.
It's the same characters that we've built.
You're going to go back to level 1.
Okay. Okay.
love it.
We're not going back to level 1 because we want them to. Because the concept I have for it is them already being somewhat seasoned adventurers, but they're going down to 3.
Perfect.
Okay.
That's a good place to start.
Yeah, so they're still squishy, but they can do a couple of things.
Yeah.
Do they have to end up at level 10 with the same abilities?
Not necessarily.
Good.
I have a narrative hook to avoid that.
Perfect.
But, but yes, so that's going to be coming out in June. So look out for in our Discord and on our Twitter. We'll post links when things become available, when the feed goes up, and we'll consider Under Grasswell Manor to be kind of the official kind of prequel to it, or like the kind of the prologue.
It's the spin-off before
It will remain
actual
relevant.
event. It's weird.
Awesome.
It's like the Battlestar Galactica TV movie before.
It's like
the,
a D&D guide.
series came out.
You mean Razor?
Yeah.
Yes.
I love that movie.
It's a Snyder cut.
It's not the Snyder cut. It's not.
Redoing Grasswell Manor in 12 hours.
Right. We're going to do it in black and white. It's going to be incredible.
to get all the shit I wanted to put in there.
All minds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
on a podcast.
So we did get a couple of questions from our community. If you'll indulge them,
Of course.
First of all, quick one. Ben at XMenBlasterX asks, outside of Dungeons and Dragons, what other, if any, tabletop RPGs have you played or enjoyed?
Well, Thom and I played Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Wow.
With
an
our,
RPG of Buffy.
Yeah.
with our
There is an
wives.
RPG of Buffy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had to dig deep to find it, but I did find it. And it's based off of a D10 instead of a D20. But
All right.
yeah, Thom and I think it's probably my fault, but I was like, Thom, you gotta watch Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which
I
is
love
something
Buffy.
that
I love
yeah,
it.
my wife got me into it. You know, when we first started dating.
I love it.
Back in
It's stupid,
back in
but I love it.
2000. And Thom and I lived in New York as well while Thom was up. Thom's still up there. But while we were up there, Amanda and I were like, but you've got to watch Buffy. And so they got into it, and then they really loved it. And so we got together with him and his wife, and we played a little bit, and it was fun.
Wow. Buffy.
Yeah.
It was
Cool.
weird.
Guys, I'm rolling Spike, and no one else is being Spike. I'm being Spike.
Yeah,
Oodles.
if you can find it, Oodles, if you can find the rule book on it, it's hilarious the way they write it and everything.
I was
awesome.
Spike
Oh, wow.
in our game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got
And
him,
my
Spike. He's
wife
the best
was
character.
my wife was Buffy, and I didn't know how I felt about that. But anyway,
I know. I know how you felt, John, because I saw it in your face. And then later you told me how you felt about it.
I was just trying to keep it PG, Thom. All right.
We followed all our own personal rules.
Oh, yeah. What about you, Tim? Have you played any others?
The only one I've played is actually one that was made with kids in mind, so sort of like for the family, which is called Amazing Tales. It comes in a book that's much thinner than a PHB, but it's much more imaginative and a lot less rules, and really more like you can play with a 4-year-old to.
We should have done that,
10-year-old,
Gadget.
basically. But it's similar in that you have. I think it's either 3 or 4 abilities that each player picks as their character. Like they describe their character can be whatever they want. They pick 3 or 4 abilities that represent what they want them to be good at, and then they rank them. Like he's the best at this. She's a little bit not as good at this, and then you give like one is a D12, next is a D10, a D8, and a D6. I think it is, and then basically they tell you what they want to do, and anytime they want to do something, you kind of help them tie it into what. Ability, if any of those is applicable to what they want to do. So like a 4-year-old would be like, oh yeah, my character's like super fast, right? Just very basic stuff. Like, it doesn't have to be like defined as, oh, their movement speed is 65 feet or whatever, like Dungeons and Dragons would have it, right? They're just very fast. And so anything they want to do, if they want to do it quickly, like if they can kind of justify it as it's something they need to do very fast, they can use that special die, and all they have to do is roll better than a 3 to have a success.
Oh,
and then it's just storytelling from there. I'd love to play Tales from the Loop at some point, but I haven't actually picked it up or, I think most of the limitation has been time more than anything, because with as much as we're doing with Dungeons and Dragons, there just isn't
it is a flat
quite enough
circle.
time. Right.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
The last one we had was Smashiest Clay asks, how important is party composition? And he's asking, like, basically, is it like, are we talking like Overwatch, where not having necessary rules filled is pretty much dooming your team? Or is it something where kind of equipment, spell choices, and actions can make up the difference?
0. It doesn't matter at all. And here's my rationalization for that. 5e D&D is so built around you doing whatever the fuck you want to do with it that there are ways to there's ways to round out a party and do things. You could all three be you could all be thief rogues, and you'd have a super. You could build a super powerful party that does all the things you want to do.
Wow.
You'd have some weaknesses, right? Like you wouldn't like if you get up against undead. Yeah, you're squishy. you get up against some undead that have like resistance to piercing damage, and there's some things which you can't sneak attack, for instance.
Yeah.
That's very rare, but that happens. That can hurt. But D&D 5e is so flexible. Anybody can be an expert at medicine, right? Anybody can like make potions. Like you have to build your character a certain way, but you can do that with almost any class. I think it's really. I mean, for me, like this gets back to one of the earlier questions about how much is it about narrative versus rules and that sort of thing. I really love the idea of starting. If you're going to start a campaign, to think about that, like why we're here. Like what's the moment that's starting this thing off? Are we friends already? Like why are we friends? So I do think party composition in the sense of like making your party together is so much more fun than sitting in your house making your thing and then like surprising everybody with like who you are. So yeah, that's my take. It's not like Overwatch.
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean, I was going to say, if you have a good DM too, they can kind of balance things, for or against you as the situation dictates in a way that can play to the party composition too. So
do you guys as well? So when you realize that our party is missing something here, like just talk among yourselves, like, right, we need one of us to do this. Like, I don't know if it's a certain thing like
heal.
Well, just like if you look at our party, like Oodle said, we're missing a wizard or we're missing
we are
this.
massively
Like,
missing a wizard.
if we could look through and go, okay, well, Biggie's character can actually do this. If
you
we
can't hit a
push him that
scarecrow,
way.
that kid.
So do you like discuss it kind of behind the scenes, going, right, we kind of want our character to do this, like to progress rather than it just being all improvised.
I mean, a group session 0, which is what they call this, is probably a good idea, right? Where everybody puts their heads together, kind of says what they're thinking. It's a good place to like lay the ground rules too for like, something is too gory. If somebody has a threshold for that, somebody gets triggered by something, you talk about that stuff up front so you never quite, get there.
Yeah.
Don't piss off your players kind of thing. But
yeah,
I would think you do a session 0. Part of our character building for Dungeon Dads was collective. Obviously Sam being a cleric knew we had some heals there, but clearly, as comes up often in the podcast, he doesn't want to be the frontliner.
No.
But I'm a warlock and we have a wizard. So party composition was a concern early on because I was like, what are we doing? We've got a cleric who doesn't want to frontline. And I'm a hexblade, which is like, I can frontline, but I don't have the constitution. I'm not, built for that.
You're not the tank.
Yeah,
was
exactly.
It the one time Sam frontlined, he got turned to stone by a basilisk.
Oh, it's terrible.
Well, that happens to the best.
terrible.
You just hate it when that happens.
Yeah.
You play out of position and you get turned to stone.
So often.
So I mean, I I think it's really important to, especially if you're saying, okay, we're a troop, we're like a small group of 4 scouts, right?
Yeah.
We do this thing. So it's important to talk about like, okay, like how have we survived this far, this long, right? like when trouble comes, like, is our main strategy, okay, now we're all fast. Like, we run away and then we set up an ambush. Like, is that how we fight? Is that our main like tactical like thing that we do? In Mountain City Mayhem, we certainly did that, right? So me and John and Tim, we talked a lot about this. My character and John's character, they were scouts together in an army. They like started this grift together, and they needed some muscle, right? So they got this dwarf who's the muscle, who like scares people, but also gets up in their face while the other 2 guys like attack them. So like that's the kind of thing that you should have a conversation about like, we've gotten this far. How have we gotten this far?
And it certainly changed the dynamic. It changed the dynamic of the whole campaign, right? Because we've got, in the main campaign, we've got 3 guys, wildly different backgrounds, who are kind of thrown together. Mm-hmm. And then in this other campaign, we have guys who worked together, who knew each other, who got another person for another reason, for one reason or another, and they came together to actually make money together. And so it changes how the battles are fought, right? Yeah. I'm like, okay, if I'm a bard, then my bard is only going to beef up my guys and debuff the bad guys.
Yeah.
Right. So that then automatically influenced all the spells. And then it informed my character. I'm this small halfling, and if some giant thing is going to jump up, I'm going to slap Tarbuk on the ass and give him heroism, and then I'm going to go hide somewhere, you know what I mean? As long as I can concentrate on it. You know what I'm talking about? Like,
yeah, no, I know what you're talking about.
And so, it just completely changed the dynamic of that character, and it makes him completely different from the wizard that I have, who is like, I'll just throw a fireball on all these guys and they'll incinerate, and Milo's kind of like, I'll talk shit to this guy, and then when I get in trouble, I'll just be like, Tarbuk, go get him. Darvin, go get him. You know what I mean? Like, it's, and so it just makes, it makes for very interesting storytelling as well, but it gives you this whole blueprint once once you've done all this pre-planning. It's great.
Fantastic. Biggie, did you have one last question?
Yeah, I just want to quickly ask, I've been a gamer since the 80s. Somehow completely bypassed D&D, as I mentioned. So I've only played like literally one shot evening. So where do you feel D&D is now in comparison to like gaming, where gaming went through this real period of being really geeky? It's kind of more accepted nowadays. But where do you see D&D now? Because obviously you guys have done a hell of a lot of work in trying to promote it and make it interesting for people that may not have ever thought about doing it, and listening to your superb podcast. So where do you think D&D is now?
So I think this is the heyday of D&D in a lot of ways. So I got a text message from my wife's Mormon cousin that
I hate when
that
that
they had just that they had just
Not usually good news.
Yeah, they had just listened to episode 40, so they are up to date with like 5 friends who are now playing D&D together.
Wow.
And they knew, and the text is hilarious. It was like, we knew that slimy Jesus was the one behind all of this stuff. And I was like, wow, this thing is really like so different than I thought it was. Like, because I quit playing D&D as a 13-year-old because I was convinced that was going to keep me from having sex. Like I was
13 years of motivation.
Concerned.
I was positive. And
I think it'll make you have sex nowadays. It's
the
opposite.
I've been with my wife since I'm 14 years old. So we are like long term together.
So you were right to quit.
I was right to quit, and I was right to quit. But I will say,
charisma on himself.
I will say, I love my wife. We have such a great life together. But my one regret is that when I was 14 years old, I wish I'd have tried to put the old screws on a little bit about like having her try this thing out, because I think she'd be amazing at it. Instead, I like silently let her make fun of me as a younger person playing this thing. And so I think a little bit of that was like, I see people who are in couples and they play together, and I'm like, oh man, that's so amazing.
Your wife can't be complaining when that Patreon money keeps rolling
That's
in.
right. There you go. There you go. It's like, that's a laundromat trip. That's a laundromat trip. That's a laundromat
I'm
trip.
a player and a player.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
It pays off in the end.
I think the internet's probably helped most with that, though, hasn't it? Like the accessibility now, where like you can go and watch people play it and have a lot of fun on YouTube, or listen to like a podcast like yourselves. And like before, like none of my friends like that I grew up with, not many of them are really into like the stuff I'm into.
Yeah.
And I would have liked to have given this a go, but in my teens,
You're a jock.
would have had no one.
Yeah.
No, but I would have had no one to play with. None of them would have been interested, and it probably would have taken the piss out of me, to be honest. But now it's just like, you know what, I really want to give this a go. And listening to yourselves and watching some videos that Gadget posted to me, is like, you can have a lot of fun with this. And
I think you've got to
like,
bear
it's
in
more
mind.
accessible now.
You've got to bear in mind we live in an age now where the Marvel films are the biggest films in the world, so that nerd culture is already just it's ingrained there. There's going to be a moment, and it's going to happen very soon, where Dungeons and Dragons just takes over. I think so. Or role-playing games in general. It's just going to take people are going to be like, why didn't we do this years ago? And then there's going to be people from the 80s and be like, we have been doing it for so long.
Right. You used to make fun of us for it.
It's same with I'm been a big comic book reader all my life, and I've been like going to the movies and watching these films. Like, I know what's going to happen. They're like, how do you know? I'm like, because I've read this 10 years ago.
Yeah.
It's so frustrating.
Yeah.
Well, I think Tom's right. Like we're in this like magical golden age of D&D. Like the people in LA where Tim's at, they are. It feels like in the rest of the country, they're the movers and the shakers as far as style and what's cool and what's going on. You know what I mean? And so like there was this group of, I'm sure you've all heard of Critical Role. But this group of voice actors just comes together and they do it, and then just millions of people like are just watching them on Twitch and then sending them money, and then their Kickstarter's going through the roof
as well.
They used to tour.
A live show.
When I was Gene the guys up to say like, okay, this is kind of how you play D&D. It won't be this good because these are professional actors doing
with
it.
Mercer doing it. I'm like, whoa, I can't do that.
Oh yeah.
I sent them.
Well, I pulled it off.
Yeah, you did.
I sent them one of the Vox Machina. It was the Darrington Brigade live show that they did. And because it was the best one, because it had a bard in it.
I was just like,
It
what?
had the most acting, and it was, and it worked out. And it's one of those things when you watch it, and they're obviously, because they're actors, like not just voice actors, but they are like trained actors. They know how to play a character. They do it so slickly and so well, but then they make it so accessible for people to think like, okay, I'm going to buy a player's handbook and look into this.
And then you have like people like I can't pronounce his second name properly. Is it Joe Manganiello?
The
actor,
the werewolf,
like,
the big guy,
the werewolf. That's right.
Like he's just like this big jock of a movie star,
like you stick.
And he, I wish I looked like that. and he's just saying, no, I've got this like huge D&D setup. I love it. I love playing that. And it's just like, it isn't just...
I bid on that Omaze experience. I tried to get in that dungeon.
Oh yeah, it's like Henry Cavill as well. Henry Cavill is like, he looks like a statue, but he's the biggest nerd in the world.
Yeah.
It's like, we're taking over. And just get used to it.
Well, the meek will always inherit the earth.
Yeah, absolutely. That's
right. Yes, so thank you guys for joining us. This has been an absolute blast.
Pleasure.
Can one of you let our dear listeners know where they can find you? Just all around the internet.
Well, our website is dungeondads.com, and that has links to everything else. We are Dungeon Dads. If you look us up on whatever pod player you use, we are Dungeon Dads Pod on Twitter, Dungeon Dads Podcast on Facebook. I think that's, if you can find us any one of those places, you can find us all of the places.
We're also on Reddit, and we're no longer on Patreon. No, Patreon. We're no longer on
Patreon.
Sorry, on
Just take that again, Tom.
Parler.
That was terrible.
Right,
Sorry.
yeah, it's the Patreon.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
We don't want money anymore.
Yeah, no.
I love paying for hosting. It's so fun.
Literally wiping our butts with it. You know, we just don't need it anymore.
It was the other P.
Yeah, that site's gone, Tom. It's not worth mentioning.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't even talk about it. Don't talk about it.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you. Thank you, Tom, Tim, and John for joining us. And
Thank you for
good,
having
good,
us.
good luck for
Thank
whatever
you.
chaos is going to come from your next episode, because I absolutely cannot wait for it. And I'm sickened that I have to wait 2 weeks for the next part.
You've got 4 listeners here at least.
Well, thank you for that.
Yep.
Yeah,
absolutely.
exactly.
Anyway, thank you guys so much. That was absolutely marvelous.
Thank you.
Thanks
Yeah,
a lot,
yeah,
guys.
loved it. Thank you.
Good luck.
Yeah,
Good luck for June. I'm looking forward to listening to. Tell me again. The
Yeah.
Dragon Dreams of Sheep.
Yeah, do Dragons Dream of Scorched Sheep.
Do Dragons Dream of Scorched
So
Sheep.
awesome.
I'm looking forward to it.
Congratulations, guys.
Wow, it's getting a bit late. Stig, hit us up with the socials.
Yeah, so you can find us as ever on Twitter at Modern Escapism. On there, you'll find a link to all of our episodes, socials, and Discord. If you have any comments, you can either tweet us there or email us at modernescapismpod@gmail.com. Gaming streams, we do those.
We try to.
Try to.
Life gets in the way.
It does. But if you want to come and watch us, you can find us on twitch.tv/Modern Escapism. Saturdays is Oodles Days. If he's doing something, I don't know what
I'm
are
bored
we
at
doing?
pubs now, so I might.
Yeah, we'll find something for you to come and watch. He still needs to finish BioShock, to be honest.
I might just do that and then jump
Dragon's Quest 11.
Just don't say it. You're not allowed to say it. You're not allowed to say it ever.
Say what?
Fuck, he said it.
Can we just find some like shit game for you to play that you have to play through?
Yeah, that's
Just
true. Could do that. A quick
No,
one.
no, you need-
Deadly Premonition 2.
Nah,
Is that
he
any
needs to
good? Is that any good?
No.
Oh.
finish BioShock, and then we'll talk.
Oh, I will. I won't do another game until I've done that. Absolutely.
Yeah. On Mondays, Biggie dies. He's still continuing his playthrough of Dark Souls for the first
Yeah,
time.
I just took out Madame Butterfly the other day.
Yeah, you did, and you did it with a plum, mate. Honest to God, you did really well.
Eventually.
Well, it's good job I told you about that bonfire, isn't it?
Yes, it was. Now I'm hitting every wall I walk past.
You should.
Yeah, you actually should.
Genuinely.
Yeah, and on Wednesday, Gadget and I will be continuing our playthrough of A Way Out. We don't know how it's gone yet because we haven't done our first one, which will be yesterday by the time you hear this.
I've peered
but
into the
I
future
think that
slash
it's
past.
going to be a really good stream.
I think I think you did very
Don't
well.
get Oodles on time again.
I think you
please.
did very well. I can't believe you did that, Gadget. Oh no, Stig, I can't believe you did that other thing.
Yeah,
Wow.
it was
Time is a flat circle.
excellent. And because this has been a Dungeons and Dragons special, check out our D&D specials.
You better do.
They're still there. They'll always be there, and you need to go and check them out because, as I keep saying, they were a lot of fun, and Gadget put a lot of effort into it. So as you've heard from Gadget, Gadget's announcement, we are going to do a spin-off podcast, a Dungeons and Dragons one, and that leads us nicely on to next week's topic, which is spin-offs. So we're going to talk about good spin-offs, bad spin-offs, and maybe come up with a spin-off that we'd like to see ourselves. So this could be anything from a book, a film, a TV show, a game, anything that has an original idea and then something else spun off from that. And so get in touch and let us know what your favourite and worst spin-offs are.
It's going to be a good one.
I always like the ones where we get to rip into something.
Apparently, Biggie's done an essay on Joey. A dissertation on it.
It was one line.
And as ever, leave us your 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to us. As we say, that it does help us get noticed, and it's just a nice thing for you to do. And it takes hardly any time for you to do it.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. And from that, there's nothing much more to say than adventure on, and we will see you next time. Good night. Oh, it's so good, that theme
Yeah,
tune. Who sings
the
that?
theme tune's great.
That's me.
John, dude.
You got to up your game, the Noodles. If you're
I
the
used to
bard.
be in a band, a metal band, but I need to write I need to do it. I need to
Well,
sing
you could
it.
go. You could be you could be a bard, but plays metal.
Death metal bard.
Death metal bard.
You can have an axe. You can have an axe.
Oh wow, yeah.